My name is Kathy, and today I'll continue the talk on the release stream. But before I do this, I wanted to let you know that because I have a great many videos now on many different topics, that I've decided to make several different video playlists so that it's easy to find the videos of greatest interest. So please check out my playlist page. Today we will begin the discussion on dream settings to help you more fully analyze your main release dream themes, starting with your parents', grandparents, or others' relatives' house. Remember that one of the hallmarks to help you determine if your dream is a release dream or not is the fact that there's usually some very strange feature to a release dream, like a unicorn suddenly making an appearance, or a bicycle that turns into a truck, or some totally unusual situation occurring. Here are the basic dream interview questions you can ask yourself about any setting in your dreams in order to discover why you dreamt of being in California or in Moscow or at Uncle Harvey's house. Or your dream setting is never coincidental, and it can serve to set the tone and to indicate the part of your life under discussion in your dream. Remember, as you interview yourself or a friend, the dream interviewer pretends to not understand a thing about anything that you say, so you must precisely describe your precise descriptions of the setting, which will include how you feel about the setting both in waking life and in the dream. Feel free to add, modify, or even skip questions when it seems appropriate. Just be sure to get a definitive description of the setting before you try to interpret its meanings. Question 1. Describe the opening or the next setting of the dream, paying particular attention to what the nature and function of the setting is. 2. What is this place like in your dream? 3. Is it different from such a place in waking life? If so, how? 4. How does it feel to be in this setting? 5. Does this setting remind you of any situation or any area in your waking life? 6. If so, how so? Elaborate to be sure that there is a good metaphorical fit. So let's move on to your parents', grandparents', or a relative's home dream setting. You probably can remember many dreams that took place at the home of someone you used to visit in your childhood. Perhaps it was the home of a grandmother, an aunt, an uncle, or your neighbor's home. Perhaps it was your parents' home. You may be a child again in the dream, but more likely you are your current age, following adventures that unfold on the porch, in the kitchen, upstairs, in the bedroom, or anywhere in and around the house. The dreams can be pleasant or unpleasant, but usually they are simply curious dreams. You wonder, why was I back there again? First off, some of these dreams can be astral trips. If this is the case, then you will have a logical sequence of events. They'll have a logical sequence of events to them. Release dreams usually have something bizarre about them, so this is how you can tell the difference between the two. Many dream analysts will interpret this type of a dream setting as a regression to childhood and a desire to return to the mother. We're speaking of a release dream now, not the astral trip. Most people today, however, pay attention to what was going on in the dream setting and look for a trigger in their current life that causes them to re-experience certain feelings that are associated with this home from their past. Most dream analysts ask a dreamer what was going on in the childhood home and what feelings they experienced during the dream. Then they look to see what current life circumstances might be triggering these feelings, which might have their origins in childhood. If you are dreaming of your childhood home, you would want to focus on the years you lived in that house, because it's highly probable that the issues the dream is dealing with had their origin in that particular period of your life. When dreaming of a particular person's house, I think it's useful to be even more specific in order to first get a good description of the person to whom the house belongs. For example, if you dream of Aunt Kate's house, you would want to know who Aunt Kate is and what she was like when you knew her, as well as in what period of your life you visited her home. You would want to have a good description of Aunt Kate to find out if the attitudes and ways of living pictured by Aunt Kate's house are relevant in your life right now. If going to visit your mother-in-law, for example, feels like going back to visit rigid, structured, unloving Aunt Kate, you can imagine why you would dredge up the memory of Aunt Kate to dream about your relationship with your in-laws. If, on the other hand, Aunt Kate was a warm, loving person who understood you when no one else could, she might remind you of your current husband and how good it feels to go home to him. Or you may find that being with your best friend is very much like being with Aunt Kate. As you can see, it all depends on how you answer your own questions. Let's move into some examples now. In our first example, we have a woman that dreamt that she was back at her grandmother's house as an adult, and she was wondering where she would sleep that night. When she asked her grandmother, and she told her that she could sleep anywhere she wanted, she was shocked, because her grandmother was always so compulsive, she would have planned everything down to the last detail. She found that she rather liked her grandmother's relaxed style in the dream. Then she woke up. The woman described her grandmother, who had died 15 years earlier, as being a very rigid woman, very loving, but a woman who tended to alienate the people close to her because she was so controlling. Even when the woman tried to celebrate a happy holiday event, she said that she would dread going there because it was sort of like going to a happy police state, but a police state nevertheless. When asked if there was any part of her own personality or anyone in her life who was like her grandmother, the woman said, "Well, I guess you could say that I have become like that. I have 4 children, and I even dread my own Thanksgivings. I get them planned out in great detail. I make sure that everyone will have plenty to eat and the right places to sleep. But I think I'm being too heavy-handed, just like my grandmother." When she asked herself how she felt in the dream, she said that she was surprised at her grandmother's relaxed style, and that perhaps it was time for her to relax and not worry that everything would fall apart if she failed to control every single moment of the day. She said her grandmother would have been fantastic if she could just have relaxed a little. It was a good revelation for her to begin acting on. In our next example, we have a man that dreamt that he was back in his childhood home when he heard 2 bombs going off. In the dream, he ran upstairs to find his wife. When he heard the 3rd bomb, he woke up with a start. The man said that the flavor of his childhood home, which he lived in until he was out of high school, was one of constant upheaval and anger, with parents who had regular shouting matches. He said that the bombs in the dream reminded him a great deal of the fights and of his waiting for the next bomb to drop and the next fight to start. In the dream, he was his current age, and he wanted to escape the house with his wife. When he asked himself if there were anything going on in his current life that was like this situation, the man said that he and his wife were having shouting matches just like his parents used to have, and he thought the dream expressed his desire to get both of them the hell out of there. The man was giving himself a strong dream message to do something about his relationship with his wife, in which he was repeating patterns from his childhood. To help you analyze your dream settings of being at your parents', grandparents', or other relatives' homes, ask yourself these questions. 1. Describe the house in your dream. What years of your life did you live in or visit that household? 2. Describe the personality of the person whose house you are dreaming about. 3. Is there anyone in your life or any part of yourself that is like the owner of your dream house? 4. Try to remember the major issues going on in your life during the time you lived in that house or visited it regularly. 5. Describe the action that occurs in the dream. Is there any situation in your current life that is like the action in the dream and that takes place when you act or feel like the owner of the house? 6. Is there any situation in your current life that is similar to the issues that were going on at the time you lived in or visited that house? 7. Describe the major people, actions, and feelings that occur during the dream and ask yourself what current life situation could bring these memories back to life. 8. Does this dream help you identify patterns of behavior learned in childhood that you are now repeating to your own benefit or detriment in your adult life? I have a great many videos now on many different topics, and so I've decided to make several different video playlists so that it's easier to find the videos of greatest interest. So please check out my playlist page. Well, that's it for now. To stay up to date with my latest videos, make sure to subscribe to this free YouTube channel by clicking the red subscribe button right below this video. Take care.